Welcome back to 5 Acres Honey Farm. You can see he's peeking up here. We have a new family member. It's Indiana. He's a very good boy. He hears us talking about him. And Indiana, I mentioned in my last video, is our new Australian Shepherd puppy. And we had just done our puppy moon out in Kerala on the Outer Banks, and we brought Indiana home a week ago, and he has just completely acclimated to our life, or we have just completely acclimated to him, to the point where I don't really remember what it was like to not have him here, because he fits so well into our life so far. And I'll have some separate videos as we get him introduced to all of the different critters that we have here and that we're planning to add. But for today, I wanted to share a success story with my hive. And I actually don't have, I had my phone with me when I was out there inspecting a few days ago, but I didn't really take much footage other than this picture. That is Queen Annette, and if you've been following for a while, you are aware that I name all of my queens, and I work my way through the alphabet, and I'm approaching my 6-year beekeeping anniversary, and I finally took all this time to get through A through Z, so I'm back at A, and Queen Annette is a descendant from my very first queen, Queen Anne, so I thought it was kind of like a nice way to call back to her great-great-great-great-grandmother. I have, I feel like a really good handle right now on the season, because I do just have one hive here in Pittsburgh, and I've got one hive out in my mountain apiary. And what I decided to do last month was I saw that I only had one hive left, and I would really prefer to have most of my hives now out in the mountains. Being that you may have followed before, I had a really bad small hive beetle problem there last fall. So those hives didn't make it through the fall. And I wanted to make sure I had something out there to start the spring, because it was just such a fantastic season, spring and summer for the bees out there. So I decided, based on looking at my notes over the past few years and the forecast, and I had noticed in one of my weaker hives that was here that was around at the time that they had some drones, that I felt like they were in a good place enough where I could do a winter split. My beekeeping mentor said that I was making a bold move, and that he gave me less than a 1% chance of this new split coming through with a mated queen. I felt like my chances were more like a 60-40 in my favor. Like I felt fairly confident that there's enough going on that she'd have a good chance. And based on my notes from when I split and the forecast on the day that I calculated that she likely emerged, it was this gorgeous 75-degree, beautiful spring day. So it could not have been better weather for her to meet the world and go find some drones and enjoy a very late winter day. So we had my last winter hive inspection, which was just before the equinox this past week. I checked on them because I knew she should have emerged by now. And my plan was if she was there and maybe didn't mate, or if there had been a problem with them creating a queen, my plan was then to source a queen locally. My mentor also, I could get some brood from his colonies and bring them over. So I had some options that I could do if I needed to this month. But I was feeling really optimistic, and just a few frames in, I noticed there were eggs, and a lot of eggs, a very solid laying pattern. So that was just all great signs. And because the frame was primarily eggs, I had a good feeling she was on it, which is the result of that picture. So she looks super fat and happy. They had fairly great food stores. And I decided, based on how much she had been filling in with her laying and how much food they were bringing in, that I wanted to give them an extra box. So I gave them an extra box with 2 full frames of honey in it, just as some extra incentive to go fill it out. And that was just under a week ago. A few mornings ago, I set up the Oxalic Acid Vaporizer, and I have a few videos on that are super popular that I'll link to. And I did a treatment on them because I wanted to make sure that treatment was being done before her brood was being capped. So I might have missed it by a day, like her first round of eggs might have been capped at that point, but the weather hadn't cooperated up until that point and my schedule. So it was as soon as I could possibly do the treatment. So I think that they're going to be in a great place for spring now. Tomorrow I'm gonna do a hive inspection, and I'll check the IPM board to see what kind of mite drop they encountered. And yeah, overall, I've got my latest shipment of bottles in because I'm feeling optimistic about the honey harvest this year, and just getting things organized. At the same time, having some fun with this little guy. You can see we had so much fun. Recently, we just went out into the woods and went for a walk, and it's really hot here today, so he's relaxing from all that. But I've brought him over to the hives. I'll show you a little peek at that. Yeah, good boy. Good boy. Very good. Very good. Thank you. I want to get Indiana familiar with the colonies and being comfortable in the apiary, because I have plans on training him with carding. I had read about carding in a book over the winter, and the author had shared how she had her dog when she was a child trained in carding, and it helped her deliver newspapers, and it seemed like a really convenient thing to do. And right now I am carrying hive equipment back and forth from the house, which is about a 400-foot walk from my bee room in the house to the apiary. And when there are multiple hives, that's really challenging because I have to really prepare like a list in advance of like how much stuff am I carrying over. I try to, maximize my visits over there so that I always have my hands full. And as the season is coming on, the hives need equipment a lot more often. So sometimes I'll go out there like I just did this past weekend and see, wow, they are already filling up everything they have. They need more space. So sometimes I don't even know in advance, and I get over there, get set up, start my inspection, and then I have to walk all the way back over. So my goal this year is to train Indiana with carding and be able to put equipment in the cart and have him bring equipment over. And that way I don't need to go back and forth. And that way we're just taking one trip there, one trip back, and we'll be able to be a little bit more efficient. And plus, Aussies love having a job to do, so it'll be a great job for him. The other plans we have for him are helping with getting the chickens back in their coop, which they're fairly cooperative. It's very rare that they feel rebellious and they don't want to go back inside. And it's usually when there are younger hens. And this year we don't really have any younger hens, so it'll be a good year for him to learn with and just get familiar with them, and vice versa. And I have been, as I've shared in other videos, I took a goat class, a sheep class. I have an upcoming pig butchering class coming up. So I'm just learning about all different livestock to see what I want to add next. Right now I'm leaning toward pigs next, which I don't really need Indiana's help with too much with them, I don't anticipate. But I'd like to add them next unless something else pops up that kind of changes my mind. But beyond that, I am, hoping to eventually add larger livestock, like a cow and also sheep, which would be great to have for him to help with herding. So he has a few jobs that are ahead on the horizon there. But nothing that we're not planning on like adding all of that this year. It'll just be kind of like a slower process over some time. However, what I have learned in the past week of having him is that I was hoping to add our next livestock over next winter. Kind of like when there's a little bit more time available, it's, you know, really not a high demand beekeeping season, and the garden's not really demanding. And I figured it's gonna be so much work having a puppy. However, he is so easy. He's so easy. He's so good. And I'm realizing he's not taking up as much time as I thought with training and just in general. So I think that I can actually accelerate our timeline for getting some more livestock. So that's coming up too. But as far as the beekeeping goes, I have the hive is doing fantastic. Now that we're moving into, you know, these first few weeks of spring, keeping a close eye on what's blooming. And right now, you know, like the maples have already kind of opened and stuff here. However, there's like a Japanese maple in our backyard, and it's covered in pollinators right now. So that's another great source. So if you're in this Piedmont area of North Carolina, I'm noticing that right now. Just a moment ago when I took him out for a walk in the woods, I noticed it wasn't an open bud of a poplar, which would be super early for it, but it was a closed blossom from a tulip poplar. I guess like as the leaves are now starting to leaf out on the trees, maybe there's some kind of like early onset bloom development happening that I don't usually see this time of year. So I'm noticing that too. Our cherry blossom tree is a few of the blossoms just opened today for the first time. And I have a black cherry tree that the buds haven't opened yet, and the dogwoods are just starting to open the past day as well. So there's a lot going on. The red buds already had their time, and I feel like they're kind of slowing down a bit. But it seems like it's going to be a great spring, just based on the extended forecast and how things have been going. And next time I intend to have a closer look inside the hive. So I will take you along for my hive inspection tomorrow. But thank you for watching, and let me know what you're seeing around the state or around your own region in your bee yards too. And look forward to hearing about it.